Thanks for joining us once again. 3 recently appointed ministers on Monday took the requisite oaths before the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi. Louis Mendy witnessed the ceremony held at State House, and he now reports.
Yambamba Njie Keita, having been appointed as Minister of Presidential Affairs of the Republic of the Gambia, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia according to law. So help me God.
I, Mamadou Aki Bayo, having been appointed as Minister of Lands and Regional Government of the Republic of the Gambia, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia according to law. So help me God.
I, Serifo Bojang, having been appointed as Deputy Minister of Agriculture of the Republic of the Gambia, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia according to law. So help me God.
3 newly appointed ministers, they are taking oaths of office. Yambamba Njie Keita is the Minister of Presidential Affairs. Honorable Njie Keita, like the 2 others, is now soliciting 2 things: divine and human support, as he looks forward to working with the entire cabinet to deliver the development aspirations of Gambians.
I do not in any manner underestimate the challenges ahead. However, I promise to perform my duties and functions, and my devotions and loyalty will purely be for my work. To cabinet members, I look forward to collaborative relation, which I would use as learning experience throughout the journey.
Honorable Bojang, who for over 3 decades has served the agri sector, rising through the ranks, is confident he would live to expectation. But Honorable Bojang and co are already aware of the Herculean task awaiting them.
I wish to assure His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J. Jaya Babili Mansa, that I will continue to perform my responsibilities with diligence in order to consolidate the gains made in the Ministry of Agriculture in particular, and the agricultural sector development and delivery in general.
Honorable Mamadou Akibayo is the Lands Minister, a position the veteran is not holding for the first time. Minister Bayo and colleagues congratulated President Jammeh for the appointment.
To President Jammeh, I don't want to say much. Suffice to say that I'm indebted to him. From 1994 to date, His Excellency President Jammeh has always maintained a relationship with this short man, Mamadou Akibayo, in one way or the other.
And as other members of the cabinet welcome their contemporaries, Mama Fatima Singate, the Justice Minister, and Nene McDowell-Gay shared with them some words of wisdom.
For us to remind ourselves as to what the oaths that we take mean, and also remind ourselves that these are the oaths that binds us even beyond cabinet. Oath of secrecy, oath of due diligence, most especially oath of allegiance.
We are a family and we need each other. No one can do it alone. No one knows it all. So it is never wrong to knock at each other's door. It is never wrong to consult with each other. It's a journey that we are all part of, destined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The ceremony was chaired by Noah Toure, the Secretary to Cabinet, under the watchful eyes of Vice President Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi.
I just want to say on behalf of His Excellency the President, therefore I want to thank you for accepting the challenge. You knew it was challenging because you've been there. But you've accepted it because for national duty purposes. You've accepted it because of your patriotism and commitment to duty, as I said, and to nation. And we want to congratulate you for accepting these challenging positions like my colleagues have said. We want to pray, you've already done that, for Allah's guidance, because whatever you do, you need Allah's guidance.
Congratulating the newly sworn ministers for the appointment, the Vice President refers to Honorable Akibayo as a reservoir of blessings whose expertise could be tapped by others for a better Gambia. To the Agri Minister, Vice President Aissatou Njie Saidi said Vision 2016 is crucial in the campaign against hunger and poverty, and President Jammeh would be grateful to see progress made in the area. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Players in the National Statistical System recently gathered under the aegis of the Gambia Bureau of Statistics to find means of improving the collection, analysis, and dissemination of national statistics. Khadija Tujalo reports on the closing of the two-day forum, which has now become an annual event.
The Gambia Bureau of Statistics, as the coordinator of the National Statistical System, organizes this forum annually with the objective of ensuring that the needs and views of the statistical user community are properly taken into account. The participants are provided with relevant information on what prevails in the statistical environment. The Statistician General Nyakasi M.B. Sanyang, in his deliberation during the opening ceremony, underscored the importance of the team chosen for 2015 African Statistics Day. Decision and policymakers, he said, rely on high-quality data for the formulation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies that would impact positively on people's lives, something the forum had intended to address. Officials were confident that the objective of the forum has been achieved, as manifested in the interactive sessions, in addition to the many comments and recommendations that featured in the statistical presentations made.
We've attained the objectives of holding this forum. We've seen presentations coming from most of the sectors in the statistics fraternity, and according to the presentations, there has been a lot of improvements since last year. The production of the national strategy for the development of statistics is at an advanced stage, and I hope by in early 2016 this document will be final, and we shall start using this document for the development of statistics across the entire national statistical system.
According to the Director of Coordination and Quality Methods and Dissemination, GBOS, the concerns raised by all the presenters were taken on board, noting that they will be addressed accordingly.
There are three key challenges which is highlighted by all sectors. One is capacity. Capacity in the area of human resources, capacity in the area of material resources. Sectors have expressed concern about trained statisticians in sectors. They've expressed the concern of providing some form of training to the sectors, statistical offices, so that they can improve more on the process of collecting, analyzing, and presenting and sharing data.
The importance of appropriate data cannot be overemphasized. As such, CHAM called for more awareness creation programs for the citizenry.
Creating awareness. We've started this since last year, when the two major activities started. That's the 2013 population and housing census and the 2013 demographic and health survey. There was a series of radio programs and television programs. If you don't have accurate information, the policies that you are coming up will not be able to address the problems that are found on the ground.
As they wrapped up this two-day users and producers of Statistics Forum, GBOS officials recognized the need to nurture the collaboration between them and institutions dealing with statistics in their quest to conform to international standards. Khadija Tujalo, Grts News.
The Wascal Center of Excellence of the University of the Gambia and the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology recently organized a consultative forum devoted to climate change. The forum discussed cross-cutting issues revolving around climate change with a view to coming up with proposals that will be forwarded to the regional body. Details in this report by Janke Toure.
West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use, WASCAL, is a climate service center dedicated to carrying out research aimed at informing policy at regional and national levels. The main purpose of this meeting is to consult various groups and individuals to help identify issues related to climate change in the country.
Climate change is the biggest challenge of our times. One of the reasons for this is because in Africa, our continent, the vulnerability of this continent to climate change is exacerbated by multiple stresses and a number of non-climate factors, including the low level of development in the continent, the high prevalence of diseases, conflicts, high dependence on rain-fed agriculture, and our low adaptive capacity.
WASCAL, a newly established institute in West Africa, carries out research and provides science-based advice to policymakers and stakeholders on climate change impact, mitigation, and adaptation measures. The Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Dr. Abubakar Senghor, said climate change is a multidimensional issue characterized by a host of factors.
The government of the Gambia, under the dynamic and responsible leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sir Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya Babili Mansa, is always committed to the promotion of research and higher education in the Gambia. Currently, the Ministry of Higher Education, under the watchful guidance and able direction of His Excellency the President, has gone very far in writing the first ever national research policy for the Gambia.
In this way, the results of our national research agenda in climate change will be eventually incorporated into the global WASCAL 2016 to 2020 research agenda for the West Africa. It is therefore very important that all participants work hard today to come up with a comprehensive research agenda by the end of the day.
The forum involving ministers as well as authorities in the education sector is deemed crucial in providing deeper understanding, which is also key to solving problems and challenges associated with climate change. Janke Toure, reporting for Grts News.
The Minister of the Interior has reiterated President Jammeh's call for Gambians to go back to the land and engage in meaningful farming ventures. Usman Sonko was speaking as he led volunteers on a day-long harvesting exercise at a vast rice field in Marakisa. Abubakar Senghor was with the volunteers and he prepared this report.
This vast rice field located in the Combo Central settlement of Marakisa has been the scene of a massive harvesting exercise by volunteers from the community and elsewhere, including a group of youths from Lamen in the Kombono district. The day-long exercise took the mainly women volunteers from the edge of the rice farm to the extreme reaches of the entire field as they gathered a sizable heap from the harvest. The volunteers were joined by Interior Minister Usman Sonko, who returns to his farm to lead the harvesting process.
This is very important in the sense that His Excellency the President has always been calling for people to go back to the farm. And as members of the executive, we cannot but emulate His Excellency the President, and we cannot but answer to His Excellency the President's call. Because if he is calling people to go back to the land and he is doing it, we as cabinet ministers should show the better example. And I'm sure people seeing us in the field also encourages them to as well go to the field, because then they would understand that agriculture is not about being a minister, it's not about being a president, but agriculture should be everybody's priority, because you eat what you grow and you grow what you eat. And that call, for Gambians to be able to answer to that call, they must see the example. His Excellency the President has demonstrated it times without numbers. We've seen him in the fields. And that has even motivated me personally to be able to do this type of thing. So whenever I come to the farm, it's very impressive, and I always enjoy doing what farm works ask for.
Those words were echoed by other speakers, among them Farm Coordinator Remy Sambu, Alcalo of the village of Marakisa, and Amid Ndong Sonko, all of whom described the initiative as another important step in the drive to ensure the Gambia produces enough homegrown food to feed itself. The message here is for the increase in efforts to ensure the proper utilization of the available land resources to grow enough food to enhance the country's food self-sufficiency drive. For Grts News, this is Babu Katsenga.
A mother and 2 of her children have lost all their valuables after a raging inferno engulfed the family's residence. Janke Toure reports on the plight of the Bakau trio.
It's certainly not the best way to start 2016. Eyewitnesses say the incident happened around 8:30 p.m., but the cause of the fire is still a mystery. Yatenen Jaju, the occupant of one of the affected apartments, had all her valuables consumed by the raging inferno. Her children, one of whom returned from Senegal recently, also lost valuables worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yatenen Jaju was reportedly in bed at the time of the blaze and realized that something was wrong when she was confronted by the heat. The woman lost everything to fire, but in what could be described as an expression of faith, she attributed everything to destiny. Jojo Jallo, a daughter to Yatenen Jaju, who recently returned from a business trip, said she was in the other room when she heard her mom shouting for help, adding the fire got out of hand before she could do anything. She lamented the losses she incurred and appealed for assistance. Bakau Sujaju, an eyewitness, said he rushed to help the occupants of the gutted house after hearing the lady shouting for help, but added he couldn't do much because he is physically challenged. The blaze continued for an hour before personnel of Gambia Fire and Rescue Service managed to bring it under control. They started the year 2016 with misfortune and are now appealing for assistance from all and sundry to be able to pick up the pieces of their lives. Janke Toure, reporting for Grts News.
Meanwhile, GRTS has been reliably informed of the passing of Alhaji Abdullah Sisi, Imam of Sunchu Alhaji Central Mosque. The sad event occurred on Sunday evening, and he was laid to rest early Monday morning. The founder and Al-Kali of Sunchu Alhaji Abdullah Sisi, a family source reveals, lived up to the age of 115. Gambia Radio and Television Services sends its deepest condolences to the bereaved family. May the soul of the departed rest in peace. We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Stay tuned.
Joli Bakuyate and the Kumari Ban, Woolening album Fulanata, Jamfa Jankano, Kumogasia, Anita Nyoya. The King of Kora, Aku 2016, I will not be badding on Ninteri Kanunteli. Grand launching tea, Sibito Tubabo Karo at Tilikononto, January Karo 2016. Bakau Independent Stadium, tickets $350 drong, Yewole Nyilinka, Cabo America, Europe, Sweden, Holland, France, Senegal, but Guinea-Bissau fananko mote tulakoma. Otumbading Gambian goal, Jamfa Jankano, Anintanyoya. Guest artist, Wolmu Jamalade, Wolum Yusuf Ngom Jolof Manti, Female Artists Association, Kucha from Senegal, KFM, Afana Nyala Delegation Ol Binalale, Kana Mabe Nyimbenku Mato. Sponsors, Banjul Breweries Limited, Yuki Family, Wolle Bejaliba Dandana, Nyilungal.
Welcome back. Iraqi troops are combing the newly liberated city of Ramadi for booby traps and bombs that ISIS left behind. CNN's Nima El-Bagir has more on the mopping up operations.
Ramadi. After months of ISIS rule, this is what remains. ISIS's occupation of the city, leaving its mark both above and below ground. These are the houses that the militants were hiding inside of. And you can see what they were doing is they were digging up tunnels so that they were able to move from house to house without being seen by the coalition planes. And so that this wasn't spotted from the air, they were hiding the dirt that they were digging up and keeping it inside the houses themselves. If you come through here, we can show you one of the tunnels leading through. Some of these tunnels, we're told, went as far as 1 kilometer. We're going to go have a look inside. It's not actually that wide, but it does give you a sense of them moving in the dark under the ground, out of sight. Ramadi fell to ISIS in May last year. Since then, Iraqi forces have been battling to reclaim their territorial integrity and their ravaged morale. The head of Iraq's counter-terror force told us the liberation of Ramadi should be celebrated around the world.
Defeating ISIS and this victory has impacted upon ISIS' plans and its very existence, causing weakness and desperation. The road to Mosul is now open and clear.
Blindfolded and bound, captured ISIS fighters face the wall. They were, we're told, attempting to blend in to what remains of the local population. A reminder ISIS fighters could be hiding in plain sight. Even as the road to Mosul is in the Iraqi armed forces' sights, a week on from the announcement of liberation here in Ramadi, and counter-terror forces battle to purge the city of the remaining militant presence. We're hearing some pops of gunfire. They're a little further across the other side of the river. The fighting is ongoing. The cleanup operation is still going on, and that's why the helicopters circling overhead. In spite of the threat of IEDs and roadside bombs, the troops continue their painstaking push. Under every inch of reclaimed territory, a possible death. Everyone here knows so much is at stake in this claimed liberation, and not just for Iraq.
This victory is a victory for humanity, because ISIS is against Iraq and against all of humanity.
It is also, finally, some palpable momentum in the battle.
The international community is calling for calm today after relations between Saudi Arabia and its regional rival Iran hit a new low. Riyadh's execution of the prominent Shia cleric Sheikh Nimra el-Nimra led to attacks on Saudi Arabia's embassy in Iran. In response, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Sudan have all cut diplomatic relations with Iran, and United Arab Emirates is downgrading its ties with Iran. The cleric's killing has ratcheted up tensions across the region. Let's look at this DWTV report for more on that.
Shiites in eastern Saudi Arabia mourned their executed leader, cleric Nimri al-Nimri. His death has strained relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran to the breaking point. Riyadh broke off diplomatic relations with Iran. Now another Gulf kingdom, Bahrain, has followed suit. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister told a press conference that Iranian officials in the kingdom had been given 48 hours to leave.
We are determined not to allow Iran to undermine our security. We are determined not to let Iran mobilize or create or establish terrorist cells in our country or in the countries of our allies.
Iran's foreign ministry blamed Saudi Arabia for the widening crisis. Saudi Arabia uses tensions for its interests and survival. That's why it has used this issue as another excuse to raise tensions and conflict. The crisis has further deepened the divide between Sunni and Shiite Muslims, and it's not clear what the global community can do to help calm the tempers in an increasingly explosive situation.
Saudi Arabia's execution of the Shia cleric and 46 others have prompted renewed debate over Germany's arms sales to Saudi Arabia. The kingdom is one of the largest customers for German weapons. Berlin has condemned the mass execution, but has not said it will cut off arms exports to the Saudis. That has triggered an outcry among the oppositions and even calls for a review for some members of Chancellor Angela Merkel's coalition. We have more in this DWTV report.
German armaments such as the Leopard 2 tank are sold to countries all over the world, and petroleum-rich Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest buyers of weapons made in Germany. In the first half of 2015, the value of military technology Germany sold to Saudi Arabia was around 180 million euros. All-terrain vehicles were among the items exported. Yet the opposition Greens have long regarded this as a scandal. This needs to stop. We cannot support unjust regimes and countries in crisis regions who use this support to fuel wars. The German government, however, wants to hold on to its strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia. The government is convinced that our having a constructive relationship as well as dialogue with Saudi Arabia is in Germany's best interests, as well as in the interest of regional stability. Only with dialogue it is possible to talk about our differences, for example on human rights. The German government sees no reason to change its policy on arms exports. They feel there are already many restrictions on when permission is granted for weapons.
Let's now turn to the weather report, courtesy of the Central Forecast Office.
For glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the Baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects. In know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the weather forecast. A cloud atmosphere with slight intermittent rain affected some part of the country during the past 24 hours. And the satellite image shows convective cloud over part of southern Africa, likewise over the Senegambia region. This could eventually cause slight intermittent rain and mostly cloudy atmosphere, particularly over the eastern sector of the country. These conditions are expected to continue till tomorrow morning, thereafter becoming cloudy and relatively warm in the afternoon. Surface winds will mainly be northeasterlies in southeasterlies in direction, and the speed will vary between 5 and 15 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures will be 17 degrees over the greater Banjul, while the rest will either be 15 or 16 degrees Celsius warm. And for the maximum temperatures will vary between 26 and 29 degrees Celsius respectively. And low tide will be 0.7 meters at 12 a.m. and 0.5 meters at 1 p.m. High tide will be 1.4 meters at 6 a.m. and also at 7 p.m. Wave will be 1 to 2 meters northeasterly swells. The sun will rise at 32 minutes after 7 in the morning and set at 11 minutes to 7 in the evening. That's the forecast, and good night.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Ministers Sherifo Bojang, Momodo Akibayo, and Yam Bambanjai Keta have taken the oaths of office, allegiance, and secrecy before Vice President Ajah Dr. Aissatou Sedi. Experts have congregated for a forum devoted to a cross-fertilization of ideas held under the aegis of the University of the Gambia and the Higher Education Ministry. Victorious Iraqi troops are carrying out mopping-up operations in the newly liberated city of Ramadi, a week after Baghdad declared it free from the grip of ISIS. And German opposition lawmakers and some members of the governing coalition have urged Berlin to reconsider arms sales to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Well, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINIFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for being there. Enjoy the rest of our programs.